Welcome to Tech Beyond Gender podcast. I'm your host, Meena Satishkumar. Today's podcast episode is very special. One, I have a co host for today's podcast, and that is Satish Kumar. Not just my husband, but my mentor as well. He's normally does a lot of behind the scenes work in our podcast, and today he has taken the first step to be the co-host to interview our very lovely guest. So I'm very delighted to welcome Prabha Ravi. Prabha is an accomplished independent director, a governance consultant, a community leader with more than 20 years of experience across private, public, and in not for profit sectors. She has spent over a decade guiding boards with strategic vision, championing diversity and inclusion, and mentoring leaders to create lasting impact. Now, having traveled to over 45 countries promoting New Zealand education and building international partnerships, she brings a truly global perspective to leadership and governance. Prabha, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Meena. I think I'm quite lucky to have your co-host as well. Thank you so much for making that time to both of you and for inviting me to speak to your topic today. So it's a
Yeah.
pleasure to be part of this. Thank you.
So now this is the first time in our podcast we don't have a topic because Prabha, you are so versatile. Your career and the different things that you do. I've known you for more than 20 years. I remember, I think must have been 2000 four or maybe even 2003 is when I first met you. Our paths crossed then,
Yeah.
and I've really enjoyed our conversations. And I still vividly remember how you would talk about your childhood back in India, the environment you grew up in. So I just want to start off from there. How was your upbringing? And then slowly lead on to what you are doing currently and what really sparked the interest from your childhood. Over to you, Prabha.
Sure. Thank you, Meena. You've asked such a big life story of my journey. I'll try and remember everything that I can remember from my very early years of my life. Some of those moments are profound that really shaped the thinking, shaped the way that I wanted to move forward in my life. So the first and foremost thing is I was born into a large family, a joint family with my grandfather, grandparents, and also very, very unique. Born into a family when a guru was living with us in the family. So a spiritual guru. When I when I was in my mother's tummy, that's when he came into the house and from the orders from his guru to stay in our house, and he stayed with us for 23 years. So I was born and brought up and completely blessed in the presence of the guru, and we grew up with the guru. So that's quite profound. And so our house was not a normal household, as you know, because there was millions, thousands of devotees coming every day to our household. And my mom, I don't know how she did it, but just selfless service. She has hardly had any time to think about herself or her children or her husband or her in laws, but she was just selflessly serving uh, and attending to all the devotees who came home and cooking for them, looking after them, making sure they are well looked after. And so that was my mother who, in her younger years, doing something like that, because she was also, you can imagine, I was just born,
Mm.
and so she was in her probably mid 20s or probably mid 20s. So someone to sacrifice her whole life for
Mm.
this is just amazing. And my dad never questioned even one bit about why are you spending so much time? Why not taking care of the children? None of those things. My dad was like, they were both so into it that they didn't really think that they had to do something just for their family, but they were thinking way beyond themselves in every aspect of life. And my grandfather, who lived with us, is another amazing character, my grandmother and my grandparents, who was the real reason why Guru came to our house. So that's a big story. I will not cover that. But he is like, he has welcomed hundreds of sages into the house even before our Guru came to this house.
Mm.
So his whole life has been serving gurus and serving sages who would come, pass by, and they would come and have a meal. And they say if you feed sannyasi even once,
Mhm.
one meal,
Mm.
you are blessed, so blessed, because all the blessings and the punya comes to you. And my grandfather was literally hosting sages every single day, including Chinmayananda. Um, he was one of the founding members of the Chinmaya mission. And so many sages. I can give you several examples of sages. So that's the foundation of how I was brought up. So you are just soaked into spirituality. It is not about just getting a taste of spirituality, but you're actually soaked into spirituality, because all the devotees who come home are asking the Guru different types of questions about what is the meaning of life, what is Upanishads, what is Vedas, why do we have to do this, what is the Bhagavad Gita, all sorts of different questions that are being asked. While I was young, probably I was a bit playful. I was not very attentive to some of those answers, but I started to get really into those sort of deeper questions, maybe more later in my life. But my sister was very, very interested. And we are only 2 years apart. And
Mm.
she would sit all night and listen to what the Guru was saying to his devotees. And I would probably be I think I was the tomboy in the house. I
Mm.
think I was a bit different to many, while I really enjoyed the spiritual aspect of it, but I also was very driven.
Mm.
I don't know where I got that from. My grandfather was very driven. My mom was very driven. And so probably that part of the gene was very strong in me as well. And so while I was very involved in the spiritual aspect, learning dance, also music, classical dance, classical music, bhajans, almost every day we used to have bhajans at home, all of those spiritual discourses, go every day to spiritual discourses by our Guru, with him, accompany with him. So evenings were spent like that. Mornings were at school. And the gap between 3 and 6 or 7 that I used to get between the school and the discourses or other activities, I would be very, very active in the school doing so many different things. So obviously art was a big part of it, dance, music, and all of those, but I was very involved in sports as well. So I
Wow.
ended up playing numerous sports, and also by Guru's grace, absolutely by Guru's grace, I was also doing quite well in all of those sports, and excelled in the sports that I was also chosen as a sports captain, apart from arts captain and all sorts of things. So I think all of those things, you know, it's just, it grounds you that without the blessings of your guru or your parents or your elders, mainly guru and parents, you you are just, what would I say? You are just one entity until then. When
Mm.
you are blessed, you start to become a human being. So
Mm.
for me, that was very, very special. And I have always been thinking about how blessed I have been, my family has been,
Mm.
to have a guru like that. And it started to shape our thinking. So anything that you achieve, the achievement is not yours. So that was the foundational sort of lesson that was always imparted to us. You do your duty,
Mhm.
like how Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, leave the outcome to the Lord. He will look after that. So that was like the foundational lesson. So any accomplishment we come, my parents would not even, I would bring all these big, big trophies after winning sport championships or winning all the dance competitions or getting first prize in a debate competition, whatever that is. But when you come into the house, you are just a normal person, nothing. You're okay, you can keep the trophy. The first
Mhm.
question is keep it in front of the shrine. That is all. That's more than enough. So nobody came and hugged and said, oh, I'm so proud of you. You are this, none of those dramas, nothing. It was
Yeah.
just like another part of your life. Okay, you've achieved. Okay, got, you come first and like, so what? Kind of
Yeah.
grounds you completely, humbles you completely, saying that none of those achievements are yours or none of your achievements are not yours.
Yeah.
So don't attach yourself to anything. Just stay away from any glory that you get, any sort of recognition you get. Just keep doing your duty. So those were that every time you with something, and even if you get the top marks in your class or something, when I come back, when I was young, I was so proud that, oh, I did this, I did that. And so my tata and my amma, appa will say, okay, keep it near the Swami, and they'll be minding their own business. They'll be cooking. They'll be nothing. So that has been a beautiful part. Initially, it was disappointing when I was very young.
Mhm.
But as I started growing up, I started to recognize that that was my core lesson.
Mhm.
Because when disappointments come, not that you always win,
Mhm.
obviously, you do lose.
Mhm.
You don't come first in a competition. You don't come second in a competition. Sometimes you're not
Mhm.
even a runner up. So when you see success, don't be too happy. When you see failure, don't be too disappointed. So both
Mhm.
will alternate in your life constantly. And you just need to leave everything to God and take one day at a time and just enjoy that day. Have you done your best? Feel satisfied, be happy, just keep going.
Wow.
So that's been for all three of us. We are three siblings, my brother, my mother, and my sister, and me. We have a joke in our house because a lot of devotees would come and offer everything to Guru, right? They will say,
Mhm.
okay, Guru, I got this for you, got this for you. Sometimes they'll come and even buy a TV and give it to him, buy a car for him, buy all of those things, and it'll all be in the house. And our Guru will take us whenever he goes to discourses. We will be going in that house, and people seeing us in those kind of cars and things like that, they'll say, oh, you're very rich. Oh, so you're going in a standard 2000 car or something like that. So my brother will always say, and they'll ask, is that your car? And my brother will always say, yes, it is ours, but it is not ours. Yes, it is ours, but it is not ours. So that was like a standard joke in our household. Like everything is ours, but nothing is ours. So yes, it is in our house. Yes, it is for us to use. Yes, we've got everything, but nothing belongs to us. We didn't buy it. We didn't do it. I mean, it's nothing is ours. So if you can understand the real essence behind that, even
Mhm.
our own life, we think it is ours, but we
Mhm.
are in that illusion, Maya, right? It's not ours.
Mhm.
We are just here to do something and then go on. So that's the foundation, that's the grounding, that's the core in which I was brought up.
Wow. This is just amazing, right? Like how many people are lucky enough to actually grow up in an environment like that, have these rich lessons in life as you are growing up. That's totally amazing. And I was just thinking, like you said, okay, until 3 o'clock, I'm at school. And then after 7, I go with a guru to all the gatherings and stuff. And then between 6 and 7, you're involved in other extracurricular activities. When did you even have the time to study? And
That's a very interesting question. We hardly had even place to sleep. We have never had a room. We've never had dedicated space to study. There will be a lot of rice sacks that would be, you know, donated by devotees, and it'll be stacked in our house. One
Mm.
sack will be my seat, and the other sack will be my table to do my even record, biology record drawing and
Oh, wow.
chemistry and physics. And I will be, we will, not me, my sister, me, and my brother, we'll be surrounded by about 30 odd people, always at home. Always there were 40 people staying at our house.
Mm.
Every day, every single day from the time I was born.
Wow.
Always. Either, and there'll be hundreds coming, visiting and going, you know.
Mm.
Always there will be 20, 30 devotees, always with the guru staying. And my mom will be cooking for them. And sometimes, devotees from Canada will arrive at about 1 a.m. in the morning, and my mom will get up, not even get up, she would have just gone to sleep. And Guruji will tell us that, there's a flight coming, and my brother started to drive from the age of 15, 16. He'll go pick the devotees up at 12:30. Tomorrow he'll have school, but he will go pick the devotees up at 12:30. He will come back. My mother would have cooked all the meal for them as soon as they arrive. She'll be serving it at 12:30 in the night. My sister and I will do all the cleanup. Even from a very young age, we'll do all the cleanup. And then by the time we go to sleep, it will be like, probably 2 a.m. And then 3 a.m. again, the household starts buzzing. Everything will start happening. So I don't know when my mother slept, when my dad slept, when my grandfather slept, where did they? Nowhere. Like, I mean, they were only giving us a mat. And my mother will say, I'll ask Amma, where do I sleep, Amma, today? Standard reply, don't you know? Just find a place and go and sleep. So we will put a pie solon, yeah. So we
Yeah.
put a mat, a choir mat, and then one pillow, and then we just sleep. Luckily, the weather was hot, so we didn't need a blanket even.
Yeah.
So that's how we used to study and live.
Mm.
So it is, I have seen, our household has seen miracles every day.
Mm.
When I say miracles, miracles are not just materializing things, not those kind
Mm.
of, like, for example, we used to have quarterly exams, half yearly exams.
Mm.
There would be big discourses that are happening. So many people will be at home. We won't have time to study. We'll be going to the discourses. We'll have a dance competition at school. We'll have a music competition. There'll be a sports tournament happening. All of these things will happen. We'll be participating in all of those. And tomorrow will be my quarterly exam, math exam. And I won't even know. I still don't know. I still fail to understand. When did I study? How did I write my exam? How did I get my, we were always in the top 10 ranks. I don't know
Wow.
how I got. I would do namaskaram to Guruji and say, Guruji, I'm going to my exam. I don't think I know anything. But when the marks come, it would be, those are kind of miracles.
Mm.
We've experienced miracles on a daily basis. These are personal experiences, but from others also. When they come and say, Guruji, this happened, Guruji, that happened today. I happened to see this, I happened to see that. My mother, it's lots of miracles, lots and lots of miracles.
Mm.
Sometimes the rice sack will be literally empty because you've been cooking so much. There'll be rice sack will be in the last part of the cooking. And we'll be thinking, where are we going to get the money from? Where are we going to buy the sacks? Because we will not ask the guru. Whatever my dad earned, one person income, 50 people eating. And in those
Wow.
days, we don't know. Though that's a miracle on its own, you know. Where did we get the money? All of those sorts of things, all sorts of um, things that mom made. We will be
Mm.
wondering, where is it? And just when we are having the last bit of the rice, one devotee will just come and from nowhere, we would not have asked. He would have, he'll come in with a big sack of rice. We will all be wondering, where did he come from? Why did he come? Why did he come and drop off the rice sack? And he hasn't come to our home for a long time. And he
Mm.
would say, I just thought of you, Guruji. I wanted to come and do namaskaram to you. And by the way, I'm going to leave this rice sack and go.
Mm.
So several, numerous thousands of experiences like this, and we would be always, and at some point we started to stop feeling amazed about these kind of things. It became part and parcel of life. Why are we worried? Okay,
Mm,
rice is coming to an end, so what? Like we will just surrender. We started to surrender to the divine
mm,
decisions around
mm,
us. So academics also became like that. So we studied. We all of us did our masters. My son, our brother is a lawyer. My sister did her literature um, degree. I did my mathematics degree, and then I did my public administration masters. So we actually don't know how did we study, how did we pass, but we know everything. Like, in maths, I know my integration, I know my differentials, I know my real analysis, I know complex, and I know everything. But I don't know when I managed to study. How did I study? How did I pass my exam? So many miracles.
Oh wow, Prabha. Can't even explain. Just listening to it, it's like going
None
into
of
a
us can
completely
explain these
different
kind
world.
of things.
For some reason, I still remember these conversations from our lunches in those days, right? More than 20 years ago. And I'm always drawn to this story. So now, how did your life change? So you remember you mentioned like 23 years of your life you had a spiritual guru like living with you. So what happened after post 23? What changed?
I got married and I went to another city.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't um, stay with my guru, but just it felt like he just came to spend time in our family during my time in the house. Because when my mother got confirmed that she's pregnant with me, like,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be born, both my sister, my brother and my sister were already born, so I'm the last one. So he just came 6 months before I was born,
Mm-hmm.
and he attained Jala Samadhi exactly 1 year after I got married and I left.
Oh my gosh.
So that 23 years of my life, it felt like he came to just bless me, or what was that? I don't know.
Mm,
But he came for that purpose. It felt like that. I mean, if you ask my brother, he would have a different sort of explanation as to why he came to our
mm,
house. My sister might have a different explanation as to why he came to our house. My mother would have a different. So everyone felt that connection, that for me, exactly the 23 years from the time I was born until I got married and left,
mm,
it felt like he was just there to bless me or protect me or be with me as a spiritual guide, or I have no idea. Honestly, the divine plans are, you can't understand those.
mm,
In that big picture, you really can't understand why that happened in your life, and um, why why me. Sometimes, only when failures happen, people will say, why me? When
mm,
challenges come to them, they'll say, why me?
mm,
But for me and my siblings as well, and my family, everyone in our family, we always think, why us? What's special about us? It could be so many births of sadhana that we have done to be with this guru. We don't know
mm,
that we have earned in our life, or prayed or meditated, or don't know. It's several generations of sadhana and several generations of my grandparents. Even, they say all the ancestors, punya also comes to you.
mm,
So it could be that also. So don't know. I
mm,
really, we struggle to know why us. But
mm,
again, that is also a lesson our guru has told. Don't ponder on things that is beyond your understanding, or beyond your comprehension of why
mm,
world operates in this way or that way. You are here, the guru is here, the parents are here, you're getting this opportunity. Just take it all in, soak yourself in this space, and just keep moving on. Don't
Mm.
question. Don't question why this is happening, why that is happening, why that is happening, why this is happening. We don't need to question all of those things. In this Janma, you are given a role, you are in this space. Take it as blessed and keep going.
Mm.
And work towards going more closer to Him. That's the thing. And Nama Sankirtan, my guru, his only message was Nama Sankirtan. Because Narada
So,
asked,
what is Nama Sankirtana for our listeners?
Nama Sankirtanam is nothing but bhajans, just the chanting of the Lord's name. Nama means Lord's name.
Mhm.
Sankirtanam is just a singing his praise. Hymns, that's all. Hymns is Nama Sankirtanam. So, in Kali Yuga, the easiest and the simplest way to attain moksha is through Nama Sankirtan. Because I'll tell you why. According to our gurus, I'm giving you what our guru used to tell us. There are 4 yugas, you know, right? Santya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. There are so many yugas. And it is all in cycle. It keeps coming back in cycle. And Satya Yuga is the purest world.
Mhm.
And in Satya Yuga, everything is pure. So you can go and quietly go and sit and meditate without any distractions. Nothing will distract you because it's so pure. The air is pure. The people are pure. There's no contamination in any form or shape. You can do yajna. The ghee will be pure. Everything will be pure. The things that dravyangal that you use will be pure. So in Satya Yuga, you could do all of those things in the purest form as per your shastras and regulations. Then the Dwapara Yuga started to get a little bit out of that purity. A little bit started to have some contamination. Treta Yuga, another level of contamination. And Kali Yuga is completely impure in the sense it's the most contaminated according to the yugas, according to the cycles of the timeline. So in Kali Yuga, because it's going to be so dark, so many things are happening in Kali Yuga. So Arjuna asked, what is the way that people can actually attain you, Lord? It's not going to be easy to attain moksha. What is the way? And the Lord says that the only way in Kali Yuga to attain moksha is by chanting the Lord's name, because you will not have even time to do any of those sort of rituals in the most purest way. You will not get the environment or the products that you need to use in that purest form. Nothing is going to be able to help you to get to that level of quietness, or because there's always going to be noise around you, always going to be distractions. So if you chant my name in any circumstance, even if you go to a party, just keep saying your Ishta Devata's name. It can be Rama, Krishna, Muruga, Ganesha, Ganapati, Jesus, whatever you want. In whatever form you see me, just keep chanting my name constantly. However you see the divine, and in whatever way you want to, if you do that, don't worry, you will attain moksha automatically. In the pravachan, he would talk about these stories for 10 days. And the way he explains all of those things would be just amazing. And we've done dance dramas based on his discourses. My dance teacher would take all of those things, write songs, compose music, and we used to do dance dramas of
Mm.
Jnaneshwar, of all the saints, Purandaradasa, all sorts of different saints. So we are not only listening, but when we are also learning in dance, it just becomes so much ingrained in you, because you have to understand to bring that expression, bring that, story out to the audience. And you can't simply do something without understanding to connect with the audience. So that's another way, which was another level of enforcement in our system of remembering those sages' stories and remembering all the things that they did and being part of that whole space.
So, how did it change after you moved to your husband's place? Uh, did things change? Like, obviously, did they have, like, again, thousands of people coming through the doors as well?
It was very difficult initially because we moved to Mumbai and it was just my I don't have a father-in-law. When I got married, my husband's dad died when my husband was 3 years old. So it was just the three of us in the house. And I'm thinking, what? What's going on here? I have no idea what this. Luckily, we were in Mumbai, so it's a humming place, you know. Mumbai is such a busy, humming place. And it felt like, what is this? Where have I come to? You know what? I didn't even know that mom will cook for their children. When
Oh,
I got
wow.
married and I went, I didn't even know that mother cooks for her son. I had no concept of that. If I say this, people will not understand because my mother never cooked for her children. We will just go and help ourselves eat something and we'll keep going. So it would be in big, big pots and, you know, mom will serve to everybody and she will serve to us also. So she has never taken anything and said, oh, Prabha likes bindi, let me keep this separately. Prabha likes this, Prabha, Setu likes this, Daya likes this. We've never seen all of those things. So for me, when I went there, oh, mom will cook for the son, is it? Okay. I didn't know that. It was that level of surprise for me. A normal household was a huge sort of culture shock for me. I'll put it that way. Oh, is this how households work? Oh, okay, you go out and you come back home? Oh, you don't go out with the guru to do the discourse or, you know, because I've never seen my dad at home. I've never seen because he'll be driving our guru to this place or here and there after he comes back from work. And so the household was always busy. So three of us sitting and talking to each other was like a surprise to me. Oh, we speak to our husband, is it? I know it's something that you will all be really surprised about, but for me that was a big culture shock. Just being three of us being in the house and having meal together, like we all sit, like my husband, my mother-in-law and I would sit and eat together. And I've never experienced that. I would always ask my amma, you come and sit with me and eat. And she's never sat. She's never had time to sit with me and have one meal together. We've never had one meal together. Even when I'm eating, I would say, Amma, come, I want to tell you what happened in school. She won't have time for that as well because there'll be so many people in the house and she'll be cooking and she'll be busy. And and we never felt bad about that.
Hmm.
Okay, when Amma wants to listen, let her listen. You know, like we would just accept it. It was just accepted. Things were just accepted. So for me, it was a culture shock. Being in a normal household, not knowing this is how normal households will run, and this is all part of how humans should live. So it's
Wow.
very funny when I say that I'm sure people will not understand this at all.
Yeah, this is so nice. So,
And I
Satish,
didn't know,
over to you. Sorry.
sorry,
Go
Meena,
ahead.
and I didn't
You go
even
ahead.
know what the word mood means. Being moody or being upset or being unhappy. And I didn't know those sort of, none of us. We all didn't even know what going and sitting alone because you are upset about something. We didn't even know what those emotions were because we were always singing his praise or dancing or, you know, very busy. We didn't have time for all these sorts of emotional dramas and things like that until I came out of that house to see what the real world is like. Oh, people get upset, is it? Why are they upset? I just ask my husband, why are you upset? Or not him, but why is she upset or what's going on? What's happening? And it was that level of, I won't say naivety, but it is more about, never had that opportunity to experience those things because everyone, even most difficult times, We all worked together. Like, for example, I'll tell you, in 1980s, early 80s, there was a huge water crisis across Chennai. There was literally no water at all. And imagine a household with 50 people and hundreds of people every day coming home. My mom used to get up at 3 o'clock and she will wash all the clothes. She will actually hand wash all of those clothes all by herself. She will do that, right? And we didn't have water in the house. But none of us were worried about it. We just put turns. We had a pump. We had to pump water. And including our guru, he will get up at 3 o'clock, and 3 to 4, it is his turn to do he will pump the water. 4 to 5 will be my mom. 5 to 6 will be my dad because he has to go to the factory after that. So we all took turns and we never felt that it was difficult. Why life is so difficult, why there is no water in the house, or why is there no money, or nobody cared.
Mm.
So there was no sort of negative. We used to have our arguments. We'll shout. Like, Amma, no, I won't do this. Oh no, no, don't ask me to do this. All those sorts of things. But it was never a. How do I explain this? Even I don't think people will understand. Even if I explain this, it was never a bad emotion.
Mm.
It was never a negative emotion. Even if we have an argument, or I have a fight with my sister or something, we have a fight. You have to give me this. You have to give me. No, I'm not giving you this. You always take this, and all sorts of things. Like when you are growing up, you're still normal children. After that fight, next minute we'll be sitting together and eating, and we'll be having so much fun. We never carry those things in our heart at all. None of us in the family knew how to even do that. My mom will shout at me because I came very late after the badminton game, and there's so much going on in the house. Why? Blah 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 blah. She will give all the bashing. But after that minute, that's it. That's done. I won't carry it. She won't carry it in her heart. It's done. We are moving on. Next, okay. Amma, what do you want me to do? You want me to do the dishes? Okay, I'll do the dishes. That's all you want me to do, right? But don't stop me from going to badminton. Don't stop me from doing this, or it's those kind of things. It's still a normal household.
Mm.
It's still all the things that children and mom and dad and everybody have those conversations. All of those things will happen, but none of those things were significant enough to be able to sit in a corner and feel sad about, oh, Amma shouted at me, or this happened to me, or I fought with my brother, or this. It was not at all. It was insignificant.
Mm. So, like, did you miss the aspect of being able to serve a community when you first transitioned into a normal household?
No, luckily, because Guruji had devotees everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
In whole world, he had devotees. So Mumbai also had devotees, Guruji's devotees, and we still continue to do Nama. We continue to do all that, except that my household didn't have the 40 people always, or 50 people, or hundreds of people coming in, and all of those things. And for us, hospitality became the way of life for us. So even if someone comes to our house, I will be offering them to have lunch at my place, because that's what I've seen. So they will come and have lunch. If they come tiffin time, they'll have tiffin. If they come during lunch time, they'll have lunch. If they come during dinner time, they'll have dinner. So even when I went to Mumbai, if anybody comes home, I would be offering them food, which was not normal, I think. People will just give a coffee saparella, that's all. But I will actually go and say, come, let's have lunch together, or let's have tiffin together. Whatever time they come, it was like just my normal. Even here in New Zealand, I do that. Anybody who comes home, if it is lunchtime, tiffin time, dinner time, morning time, doesn't matter. Come, let's have some meal together. It's just so ingrained in us to be able to do that. So the devotees living in Mumbai, so we still used to go, and, we used to have all of those sort of um, bhajan sessions and things like that. But the service aspect became very, I think that was my few years that I didn't do much in terms of because I had two children during that time. And so was very busy with understanding how the child, all of those things, the systems and around that. And I had my two children just, they're only 15 months apart. So
Mhm.
hardly any gap. So it was like a new world for me, getting
Mhm.
adapted to that and adapting to understand how all the system works. And then we moved to New Zealand. And my son was 3, just turned 3, and my daughter was 4. We moved to New Zealand. So, and in New Zealand, it just started. It just started from day one. I started teaching dance. I started getting involved in things, and I started to, it was never a dull moment from the time I arrived here. I started to, do things, even in kindergarten or things like that. What can I do? How can I keep myself occupied, busy, busy, not for sake of being busy, but how can I be helpful to the community? So it just started.
Wow. Amazing.
So
Great.
that for 4 5 years was
Mhm.
my time, probably just to understand how children, how to bring up children and all of those sorts of things. Probably that was a good thing as well, so that it just gave me a different perspective of life. And then when I come here, like how my mother brought us up, same thing happened to my children also. I used to travel, I used to go overseas and recruit international students for New Zealand institutions. And 5 weeks I'll be out, I'll be back for 3 weeks, and then 5 weeks out, back for 3 weeks. Because the way I have been brought up is do the best for everybody, right? So
Mm.
here also education for me, bringing international students was like a huge service that I was doing, because a lot of people wanted a better life, wanted to send their children from countries that were looking for better lifestyle, education, and all those. And they would mortgage their house and take loan, or mortgage their land and take loan and things like that, and send their children. So for me, it was a huge responsibility that these kids are coming here, and I have to make sure that they are going into the right institution, right program, so they get the right kind of job, so that they can settle down, they can get their PR, they can get their, they can get their life sorted, and helping them with different community groups, or jobs, or whatever, or the groups that they can be into. So it was a different kind of service, though I was in the education industry working. But I saw that, as I took it on me to ensure that every student I brought to this country were in the right course, not because I had to earn the money for my institution. It was not, that was never a goal for me. My goal was giving them the right advice. Even some people, everybody would come and say, I want to do an MBA. I'll ask them, why do you want to do an MBA? So properly guiding them, properly letting them know that if you want to really settle down well, then this is your pathway. These are the programs you need to study, and you will get opportunities, or you will have this sort of opportunities or job opportunities. So take this path, you will be fine. And any time in your life, you can always change your career. Doesn't matter, because Western countries work differently. So it's not an issue. You can do that. So this is how. So I took that as a huge service part that I could offer in the first 15, 17 years of my life in New Zealand, when my children were growing up as well. And then slowly, dance became very profound. Everything started to get very profound, and more like the multiple times infinity. It became like, you start doing so many things. And so for me, the service was continuing, but in a different way.
Mm. Wow. So, like, were you actually traveling and for this education, New Zealand for like 15 years?
I still travel. I'm going now to India as well. I still travel.
So, you're
So
still with Education New Zealand?
no, I'm on the Education New Zealand board now. So
Oh,
I've come a full circle. I started off as an enrollments officer
oh,
in
wow.
in a private institution, then went to a publicly funded tertiary institution, worked in several tertiary institutions, worked in Education New Zealand as well. I worked in Education New Zealand for 2.5 years, 3 years, almost 3 years. And then I started to work in other tertiary institutions. Now I'm sitting on the Education New Zealand board. So I've come a full circle. So I know every aspect of international education, luckily, because of that experience of being in the education industry for nearly 30 years. So you know how the administration system works, you know how the enrollment system works, you know how the pastoral care system works, you know how the marketing and promotion works, you know what the student support system works, you know what qualifications are, how are the qualifications developed. Every aspect of education system in all sectors, school sector, primary sector, secondary, tertiary, English language sector, in every aspect I had experience. So I've worked in
Wow.
the English language sector, I've worked in the tertiary sector, I've worked with school sector, I've worked in the edu-tourism sector, in study groups, in short tours, in every aspect, and governance as well.
Awesome, awesome, great.
So that's been a great sort of full circle. You say, you know how you feel like you've come a full circle. So
Yeah,
it's been amazing journey. I can't even explain the upbringing and the household and, to people.
yeah. Satish, anything you'd like to say?
So that's a great transition, Prabha, for how you've come from Chennai to Mumbai and to New Zealand. So it'll be great to hear the journey that you've had when you came to New Zealand, how you came into the education sector, how that field, how you got attracted to that field from what your background was, and then how did you go back into the public service area through different boards. So it'll be great to understand that journey, and many of our listeners will want to get inspiration from your journey from that.
Sure. As I mentioned in my story, I never planned to do anything. It just happened. And as things happened, opportunities came about. I just grabbed them, in the sense, I didn't say grab in the sense, not in a greedy way, but I said, okay, I'll give it a go and I will see what I can do. So education industry also it just happened to me, because when I came here, one thing that I was very clear is I didn't want to get into IT and sit behind, because that's not me. I'm a very chatty person. I'm a very social person. Because of my upbringing, with the hundreds of people when you're growing up, you're always interacting with people. You're always socializing. When you're socializing, not in the how it's described here, but you're always in the space of people, right? So for me, I knew that I cannot sit behind a computer and not talk to people and go nuts just programming or doing things like that, which has got nothing to do with people. So my desire when I came here was to get into some sort of a people interaction job. Though I did my mathematics degree and I did my master's in public administration, pretty much everyone told us that Indians are only known for IT, and by default you will get an IT job very easily. But getting, in those days, this is 30 years ago, getting a job in marketing or promotions or communications or anything interactive with people oriented, we are not given the opportunity first. It will always go to the kiwis. So I was thinking, oh my god. So I very reluctantly, when I was in India, just before coming to New Zealand, when we got our PR, everything sorted, just before coming to New Zealand, I ended up doing my IT courses, all this Oracle and system analysis and things like that, which was like, oh my God. Though I managed to get through, but system analysis was very interesting for me. I got very, very good marks in system analysis, but all the other programming aspect of it was not my cup of tea at all. Though I've done mathematics as my degree, that was a different kind of, education. But this was like, I said, how am I going to do this day in and day out when I go to New Zealand? I was wondering. And I used to send messages to my husband because he came first here. I used to send messages to my husband saying, Ravi, I'm not enjoying this at all. I don't know if I'm going to cope with this. I just hope our Guru, Guruji blesses me with what I've got. And I came here, and Ravi knows that I'm not interested in IT. So he went to his workplace. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about how he got his job also, little later. But so he went to the workplace. I was with my children, they were 3 and 4 in an apartment in Petone. That was our first house in New Zealand. And going to kindergarten, talking to everyone, saying, I'm going to start a dance school, come and join me, and this and that. And I recruited 15 students within 3 weeks, started my dance school in New Zealand. That was my first job. But Ravi used to go look for jobs, any jobs that might, in those days, you used to get the newspaper. Hut News, it used to have all the advertisements. Lots of job advertisements used to come in Hut News. And that's the only way you can go and find out. Only later on Trade Me and other things came, Seek and other things. But before that, it was only newspaper. So he will go look for jobs that might suit my profile. And then suddenly he called me from his workplace and he said, I've got this, I saw this job. Why don't you give this employer a call? This is 4 weeks into this country. I've just come. I've been in this country 4 weeks. And he said, I saw this job ad. Do you want to contact them? And that was in Petone. And we used to live in Petone. So I called the employer and I said, look, I saw this advertisement. Can I come and meet with you? I see that you're looking for a call center person, I think. They said marketing, but they didn't put it as call center on. They just said marketing. So because it was marketing, Ravi said, it'll suit you. This will be your gig. So why don't you go call? But she said, okay, why don't you come now? I said, hang on a minute. My kids are in kindergarten. I'll have to pick them up and I will bring them. Are you okay if I bring my kids to the interview? But I can rest assured, I can give you good assurance that they will not be troublesome. They will not trouble you at all. So I picked my children. I told Chandra and Radhika and Chandra, Amma is going to go to meet someone. I want you. This is 3-year-old and 4-year-old into the country just 3 weeks. So they are still struggling. And this was winter. They're still trying to get their head around where have we come? Where is my tata? Where is my party? Where are my people? Nobody is there. All of a sudden, I'm in a different country. I told them, you need to keep quiet. Amma is going to be talking to someone. And I took them to the interview. This lady is sitting there in the sofa. And she said, you can sit in the sofa. Your children can sit in the sofa. And I put Radhika and Chandra. I said, shh, not talk. Keep quiet. And guess what? The interview went on for 1 hour. My son just fell asleep there only. He was probably tired after kindergarten. He just lied down and he slept. My daughter didn't even move. Both of them didn't move from that sofa. 3 and 4-year-old didn't move from that sofa. And then she said at the end of the interview, your answers were all good. That's all fine, Prabha, but I'm going to give you this job just the way how your children have behaved. It says so much about you and your husband, like your upbringing. And so you've got the job. You can come and start from today evening. And it was actually a call center role, calling people in the evening for various products. So that's how I got my first job. That's my first job. I landed there and I used to go in the evenings and after Ravi comes and he will look after the kids and I used to go and we started that. But obviously, we couldn't continue doing this in the evenings and we never had time for each other at all. In the sense, we couldn't do anything family together because I had my dance classes also and weekends were full of dance classes. So I had to look for another job and then I got another job in ACC. That was my second job in this country. And they said they wanted someone with a degree qualification. And so they interviewed me, got in there. And again, it was a call center and the legislation had just changed and so many things happened. And so that call center was a lot of negativity. People used to, because of our accent, we've got this strong accent. We don't have the Kiwi accent. So when you have to explain legislation, when they get a bill for 3,000, 4,000, and it was all in roasters, in the morning, 7 o'clock, you go, you bloody bitch, you gave me this, and all those sort of swearing words that you had to listen. And it felt like even if I had stayed very, very positive, people were upset and they were taking it on you. because they got a big bill, slammed with a big bill that they had to pay because of the change in legislation. And we are trying to explain the legislation to them. They don't want to hear that. And, all of those sorts of things. So after about a year and a half, almost a year, I said, Ravi, this is not me. I don't want, I'm a very positive person. I'm trying to keep my positivity, but constantly I am trying to, pacify people to stay calm. But this is just, I don't want to do this on a daily basis, morning till night. And then that's when I saw the enrollment officer role at one of the private training establishments. I just put in my registration of interest. I applied for the job, and then I got that job. And that's my first step into education industry. And since then, I really enjoyed it. I loved, because I had to talk to students. I had to tell them what courses they can enroll in and what is the process, and talking to them and really developing some plans on how to support them during their study. And all sorts of people came, from low socio-economic, because some were free courses, some were, paid courses, all sorts of things. And so I was thriving there, because I was literally with people, talking to them, helping them. Like, it was like my good old younger days were just coming up with so much energy when I started meeting people, and I started to enjoy. And within 3 months, the target that my institution set, I achieved for 1 year. I achieved it in 3 years, 3 months. And then my boss came to me and she said, "Oh, Prabha, you seem to have done everything. So why don't you go and explore international education?" Because that's the time when Chinese students were coming in big numbers and New Zealand was seeing a big influx. So I had no clue what international education was. I had no clue where to go and look for international students. How am I going to start this? What am I going to do? So all that I knew was there were some Indian restaurants, Chinese restaurants. I went to those restaurants and I said, "Look, I'm looking at recruiting some international students. Do you have any Chinese family that you have people to come from China who want to study?" This is how I started. Like, cold calling restaurants, cold calling any Asian person I saw on the road. And I would say, "Can you help me?" And the Chinese newspapers, if there was any ethnic newspaper, going to them, talking to them. This is how I started. And then I started to recruit. Actually, people started to send referrals to me. And I used to go and meet those students, and I will say, "Okay, come and join our institution." And again, guess what? In 3 months, Meena, how I talked about miracles? These are all miracles. In 3 months, my manager told me, "I want 20 international students in the next 6 months." Within a month or two, I got 20 international students recruited, starting their program, and they were all studying a diploma program at that institution. So when I say miracles, how can this happen? I don't know anything about international. I don't know pastoral care. I don't know New Zealand education system. I don't know Chinese students. I don't have connections. How could you get 20 students in just 1 month? So it's all divine, interventions. All these blessings, all those things. I felt like I was an instrument for the divine to do these things and use me as that space. So, and did that. And then my manager said, I was growing in my career. Within three months, I was getting promotions and I was going my career, which I never expected that anybody can even get an opportunity in New Zealand, which was very IT focused or dairy owners. They thought we were either IT specialists or dairy owners. That's all they knew in those days when we came. And people used to ask me, "How can he speak such good English?" It was that level of knowledge that they had about Indians. So every time I open my mouth, the first question they'll ask is, "How come you speak such good English?" And I would find it so insulting, actually, to be honest, when they ask such questions. I'll say, India has got so many excellent English, medium schools, and we are all very well educated. We all know. Maybe our accent might not be the same, but I used to feel so upset when people ask me those questions because they all think we didn't know English, we didn't know anything, and we are, so. And then slowly it moved into senior leadership team, and even that, a lot of people don't get international director roles, or I was one of the first few Indians to get international director position in a large tertiary institution, and started traveling because of the international, that first job where they asked me to recruit. So the only way, after a lot of inquiries and, a lot of things that I gathered, research, I was told that we have to go to those markets and actually talk to those people and recruit students and come. That's when my international travel started. So when my kids were 6 and 7, I started to travel quite a lot. And I used to go to China. I went to 47 different countries recruiting international students. Sometimes I would go 3 times to China in a year, 3 times to Japan or Korea or, Middle East, South America. I've gone to every nook and corner of Asia, Middle East, all sorts of different places, Europe, all sorts of places. And recruiting New Zealand, students to New Zealand education system for different institutions that I was working for. And fortunately, after my first 5 years in a large tertiary institution, I was shoulder tapped to join Education New Zealand by the CE then. He said, why don't you come and join Education New Zealand? And I thought, wow, that's really cool because that's the organization that promotes New Zealand as a study destination. So that's a beautiful pathway from admissions officer, enrollment officer to getting into a space where you're going to represent the whole country and train agents and do lots of things. So I found that job was very great, pathway to my next stage in my career. And that gave me the connection to the whole education industry because until then I was only focused on tertiary education. And then because you are representing the whole country in all the sectors, so I had to work with secondary schools, primary schools, English language sector, universities, ITPs, all sorts of different sectors in the education industry I had to work with, which was such an amazing experience. I'm very, very, very grateful to God for that beautiful experience. And by default, that's when I started governance, not through Education New Zealand, but through my role with education at Wellington Institute of Technology. I got into board roles where Wellington Education International had a board that was tasked to promote Wellington region as a destination of choice for international students. So because of my job as an international manager at Welltech, I became a board member. That was by default. And I had no idea about what governance was. And this is in 2005, long, long time ago, 2004, 2005. And board and AGMs and things like that, I had no clue what was going on. So the first 6 months I was only observing, but I started liking what was happening there because big decisions were being made at a board level. And I started to really start understanding, oh, this is where we get the direction from on strategy, on, budgeting, everything. So if we are able to influence that space and be in that space, then we can make transformational changes. That's when it hit me that boards are the place that you need to be. If you really want to make a difference, a change, something that is going to be profound, then you need to be in the governance space. So that's when I started to get more and more interested in governance. And because of my job, most of my governance roles started to be in the education industry. So I started to be on boards which were very, very much focused on education. But because of my dance as well, art and culture became part of my board roles as well, because I had a natural inclination to get into art and culture. And sports, because I was a lead sports champion at school. Sports started to be a big part of my interest area as well. So slowly, when I started to look at the various sort of industries like health, education, sports, art and culture, women, community, not for profit, youth. All of these things started to interest me, and I started to apply for some of those board roles in those organizations, which had a lot of synergies to my background and my interest areas. And that's how I started my governance journey, and has been almost more than 2 decades now, been in board roles. And now, by God's grace, again, after 20 years, I have got into the public sector board. It's been I've been applying. People were saying that you're so ready for public sector, you should apply. In fact, Office of Ethnic Affairs will send me governance board roles, but I will never be shortlisted or even an interview. I wouldn't even get an interview. After so many years of being in governance, I would not even get an interview.
Why would that be?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea why I didn't get into governance and public sector governance much earlier. But I applied. After 17 years of applying in public sector, I got my first public sector job, board role in Education New Zealand. And so because governance was a big part, and community work, because it was not for profit boards, charitable boards and voluntary sector boards, you start engaging with different kinds of people, right? It's not just your Indian diaspora, or you've moved on from Indian diaspora or international students to the actual New Zealand community. When you are in health, you're dealing with Maoris, Pacifica, all sorts of Kiwis, everyone. So when you're starting to interact with them, then you start seeing what are the real community issues. So you start to get a good understanding of community issues. And I've had that for almost 12, 13 years, 14 years of that experience, understanding the real issues and challenges in the Kiwi in New Zealand. And that gave me an opportunity to put myself forward for the elections to be a councillor. So the last election, not this one, the one before that, someone shoulder tapped me and they said, "You do so much in the community, Prabha. You are always out there helping people in different sectors, different aspects. Why don't you put yourself forward for representing your city, like councillor?" I said, "Nah." Like you never expect that you will be a politician one day, right? So I'm saying, "Nah, that's not me at all. I don't even think." They said, "Why are you seeing it as politics? This is your way of serving your community in a different capacity. So if you wear that hat and see it from that lens, then you're not a politician. You're going to do the right thing for your people." I said, "Yes, that makes a lot of sense for me." And to me. And then I came and discussed it with my husband, obviously, with Ravi. And I said, "What do you think, Ravi? They are saying this." Immediately he said, "Yes, go for it. You do so much, you should do it. Why don't you give it a go?" And I said, "Oh, really? Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, you should go for it. I think you've got the service mentality. You want to serve, and you've got your governance experience. You've developed all the skills that is needed to do that job. Give it a go. If people see some synergies with what you're saying and what you want to do, they will vote for you." So in the first round, I got 7,800 votes or something like that, but I didn't still make it to the council, so I missed out. And then in this round, someone told me, "Why are you just thinking about council? Be a mayor. Why don't you why don't you register to run for mayor?" I said, "What? Are you joking?" That was another level of shock for me. I said, "No way. This is just not." "No, I'm serious, Prabha. I'm seriously telling you. We've never had a female mayor, and you have done, all of those sorts of things. So why don't you apply? Why don't you, you know, uh, run for mayor?" I came to Ravi again. My sort of, sounding board is Ravi. for these kind of big decisions. Small decisions, I just do it, and then I'll tell him I did this, I did that. But any major decisions, be it children, be it, financial decisions, budgeting decisions, or any of these things, it's always nice to have another perspective, another view to guide you. It's a sounding board. He said, "Yeah, go for it." That was it. I thought, okay, so he believes that I can run for mayor, so maybe I should. Because usually the family members are the critics, the best critics for you, right? They'll say, I don't think you should be doing all these things. Just stay home and not stay home. You do what you're good at. They would be your best critics. And my husband is a very honest and open and straightforward person. He does this. If he says, I don't think you should do all those things, he's very doubtful. He will not. He's very upfront. He will say yes or no. So when he said yes, I thought, okay, then that gives me some sort of, um, I won't say courage. I'm brave generally. Some sort of confidence to run for mayor. And I said, okay, I'm going to give it a go. Let me see. So I ran for mayor and ended up being a councillor in this space. But it's been an amazing journey. Even running for mayor was beautiful because you go and talk to so many, when you door knock, when you talk to businesses, when you do all of those sorts of things, you get deeper insights into New Zealand life, New Zealand challenges, New Zealand opportunities, the amazing, scope of what you can do for your people becomes multifold because you're thinking for your city. What do you want to achieve for your city? What do you want to do for your city? What are the big challenges that the city is facing? How do we address them? What do we do? How are we going to manage those and still keep the rates down, still make it affordable for our people? What are some of those things that, so it becomes so beautiful that you start thinking uh, at that level about your people all the time. So for me, it's been like even when I come here, I'm always looking at something and thinking, okay, we can do this. We may want to do this. I might want to suggest this. Maybe we can do this. This could be a good thing to do for our city. How about this? And I sound some ideas with my colleagues around the table, a council table, quietly and ask because I don't know if that is possible or not, or is it in this, regulations? Because in public sector, so many regulations, legislations, so many, things, not like a normal board. So you need to think of multitude of things to be able to propose something or suggest something because there will be so many things that we need to factor and consider. So that's how I started to learn, and it's been a beautiful learning curve for me here. When I say learning, I'm saying the very procedural part of it, the legislative part of it, the the protocols, all of those things are very new to me because it's a very different way of running a meeting, uh, opposite to a normal board. If you compare to a normal board, not opposite, compare to a normal board, it's very different way of running a council. So those procedural parts, all of those things took a while for me to get used to, but I was very clear on what I'm going to be supporting, what I'm not going to be supporting, what do I want to do for my people, and how I want to do it. I was very clear about that, even when I was running for mayor. If you're not clear about that, my advice will be don't just put your hand up just because you also want to be in politics, because it's serious stuff, because it's going to affect numerous lives. One decision you make, it's going to affect so many families and lives. And so we need to be very, very responsible and accountable to those decisions you are making. And so I would say do your homework, really be prepared for it. your heart and soul, because it's a I can say that, you don't have any time for yourself at all, because there'll be so many events that you want to go to, put yourself in so many places, because people, when they see the counselors, they feel that, okay, their event is important, that, people have come, supported them. So it's so important to give that assurance to them that what you're doing is a good job. We're coming here, we are watching, we are listening, we are taking on board what you're doing and celebrating with you, or um, listening to you, all sorts of things. So you'll never have time for yourself at all, in my view. If you do it, the way I'm doing it,
Mm.
I all out, and I try and be everywhere that I can possibly be, and try and support and help.